Welcome back. In this video, we are going to solve one more interesting coding challenge is finding max consecutive ones. So the input will be array of binary numbers, either 0 or 1. We need to find max consecutive ones and return the count. So let's see on the board. This will be the input array. Here you have 1, 1. So I need to find max consecutive numbers as 4 written. So which approach we are going to use? The first approach is by using a simple for loop and two return variables, max consecutive numbers, consecutive ones, and temp consecutive ones, and use a for loop iterate. So initially the for loop pointer is at the beginning and it's going to update the max consecutive ones. One pointer will. So when the pointer moved, again it will check whether it is a 1 or 0. If it is 1, it's going to increase max consecutive ones and move on. And again, we'll go to the next number. And if it is a 1, going to update max consecutive ones to 4. Then for loop will iterate. Again, the next one will iterate, update. The number is 1. And so here, when it finds 0, so it's going to move max consecutive ones to the temp, here 4, and make this as 0, iterate through. And again, since it is finding 0, in this case, it's not going to make any changes. And when it find again 1, so it's going to update max consecutive ones, 1, iterate through. So the next one, iterate, and it will update max consecutive ones, counter, and will iterate through, update. So when the iteration find its ending, so now it will check which one is max, whether a max consecutive ones or temp max consecutive one. If temp max consecutive ones is bigger, it's going to return the temp max consecutive, and if it max consecutive ones is bigger, then it's going to return max consecutive ones. Let's write some code. Right? Static int to take input. Okay? And a integer 0 or simply it's not going to done anything. It's a void method so that I can display something. Okay, so let's declare two variables, int max consecutive numbers equal to 0 and int temp max consecutive numbers equal to 0. Then write a for loop int I equal to 0. I is then input array dot length I plus. So this is the for loop which iterates the array input. Then condition. Since we are trying to find max consecutive ones, so if input array equal to 1, I'm simply going to increase max consecutive plus plus, and else if input array equal to 0, this AND condition is important, and when finds a 0 in the iteration and the max consecutive numbers are greater than 0, because at the beginning we can have 0. So to avoid that condition, what I'm going to do, we are temp number, I'm moving max consecutive numbers to temp. Then I'm going to set max consecutive numbers 0, and this for loop through. Once we are at the end of the for loop, then we are going to determine which number we want to print. Here console dot write line the series. We are going to make a condition if temp consecutive number greater than max consecutive numbers. So I'm going to display, this is single line if condition. I'm going to display temp consecutive numbers, or else I'm going to display max consecutive numbers. Just align this so that we can understand easily. Condition. So if the temporary max consecutive number is bigger, then I'm going to print temporary max consecutive number, or else I'm going to print the max consecutive number. So let's execute this and see. I'm calling max consecutive ones method by passing an array. So I defined different patterns. It starts with 0, which starts with 1. And if you see, the first one has multiple consecutive ones, but the one is at the end, um, 16 number of consecutive ones, and the second one is 5, and the third one is, it doesn't have any ones. One is and the fourth one is like 5 ones. Let's run the code and see how it's going to execute. So I'm expecting 16505. It's working perfect. Let's remove this condition, and it's not, because if I find 0, I'm going to move max consecutive numbers temp. We will, yeah, 16. So move this and see, shuffle input little bit so that we are making sure we're addressing all the scenarios. So I'm moving this to the beginning. When you move this to beginning, the output was wrong, 0. Let's add the condition back. Yeah, this approach is not covering all the test cases. So need to add some more condition when we are moving the max consecutive number once to the temp. Let's see that condition. So we need to add one more condition before updating the temp consecutive numbers. The temp consecutive numbers is lesser than max consecutive numbers. Then I'm going to update the temp consecutive numbers, max consecutive numbers, and I'm going to reset the max consecutive. So let's run the code and see. Yeah, 16505. But this is not the best approach. Here, next videos we will see and then other approaches and the best approaches to solve the issue. Thank you so much for joining me. Your feedback is very crucial. Please share your feedback and also suggest the topics you want to learn. Keep learning. Happy coding. Thank you.